Such an iconic role and stood up for rights and vulnerable people for many years. What do you think about today's Generation Z? Why do you think it seems so willing and diverse? And why do you think Generation Z demands more diversity and inclusiveness than the older generations? Are we braver as a generation?
Well, your generation is a whole totally different. Each generation following the other is different from what preceded it. And you have entered this world when we have, on Star Trek, we called it IDIC, IDIC, an acronym which means infinite diversity in infinite combinations. And as I was telling your mother, I have cousins whose mother is Japanese American and father is English Canadian, and so we are becoming a much more diverse and interrelated society. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's very natural for you growing up in this society where you go to school with people of African origin, Latino origin, of European origin, and Asian origin. So you are faced with that richness, but at the same time, its challenges. And so I think the fact that you are asking questions like that and living in that world is a very hopeful and promising thing. I hope your schools are teaching you both the wonderfulness of diversity, being able to see an issue from different angles, make friends who have different backgrounds, who have different cultural backgrounds, as well as birth backgrounds, and to deal with that world is wonderful, but also it has its unique challenges.
Thank you. Yeah. My second question is, what advice do you have from Generation Z about creativity and evolution? Can you rely on creativity and innovation to change the world for better?
Well, the world is constantly changing, and it's what you do with the world that you make it better, because it could also change in a negative way. So you having values, high aspirations, shining values of democracy, and you actively participating in that process of making the world. So if you have a creative imagination, take that creative imagination to deal with issues. If you have an interest in history, take that knowledge of history and the lessons of history and apply it to the challenges of your society. So you have a wonderful world that you're entering into, but at the same time, one that requires much demand on your part to make it a better society.
Mm-hmm. And my very last quick question is, a lot of adults don't trust media as much anymore. Do you think Generation Z can trust media as much?
Well, trust depends on the veracity of the media. Mm-hmm. And I think what's important is to make decisions based on actual fact. Mm-hmm. In the United States, we have a president who makes up things. Another way of saying not tell the truth.
Yes.
Another way of saying he lies.
Yes.
And yet there are people that believe lies. Mm-hmm. So use your brain and make a judgment. Is that person talking based on truth, or is it some fabrication of his?
Yes.
So here again, it requires much study on your part to be able to discern what is the truth and what is not true. Mm-hmm. Because there are people who will tell you that. You can't depend just on the media. You have to depend on your knowledge, and that means a lot of study on your part to determine what is factual.
Thank you.